So this is a blank scene, and all we're going to do is we'll just import this stone and use it as a, an example. We're going to do Control-Shift-E or File, Export Textures, and then there's all these configurations which allow you to export what you've created in basically any format. So I'm going to use Unreal Engine 4 Packed, which emissive normal base color, yep, UE4 Packer. Okay, so I'm going to use UE4 Packer, and we're exporting all of these. Put them at 2K, and we're going to just dump them on the desktop for the moment. And we're going to export. And those have exported. Here they are, T default. So it renames them after your shader set in Substance, which is this thing, which we can now rename here. So that will update each time now. Okay, so back into Unreal. Get a content browser so you can see what's going on. Content browser 3. Yeah. So objects, I want to import my object, below with triangles, and I want to take that off, and that's about it. That's all I want. Okay, so we've got that looking good with no information. It's brought its own material in, but we don't need it, so we'll delete that. And I just want to just lay this out a little bit so you can see what's going on. Okay, and then in images, so I've created these placeholder images, and I use these for the base, for setting up my, master material. And this is just so that I'm not referencing a texture, like a rock texture or something like that. It's quite obvious that it's a placeholder texture. So I have one for diffuse, height, normal, and metal occlusion roughness. So this is a packed image. You can see by each of the colors. So basically occlusion is in the red channel, roughness is in the green channel, metal is in the blue channel. And the reason they're all different colours is because you can now, if we go through and turn each of them on, so only occlusion in the red, only roughness in the green, only metal in the blue. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new material, and I'm going to call this MST for master. This is just the way I call it. Call it whatever you want, but I do recommend that you make it obvious that this is the master one. Here it is, and this is our master material. You get a nice little thumbnail, which is lovely. Yeah, so all we do to start is go to our images again. I just drag these into here. Oh wow, yeah, like so. And then all we do is we start plugging them in. So you can see it's kind of updating with things as we go. We want this in the normal, and then this we need to split. So all we do is we drag out the red for ambient occlusion, the green for our roughness, and the blue for our metalness. And you can see now we're getting all of that information in the right places on this shader, and you can see the normal information working, you can see the roughness working, you can see the colour working. I'm going to leave height for the moment because I don't really need it. Yeah, okay, so there we go. Nice and set up. Now, if we were to just instance this material now, it would come, if we just do that, create a material instance, we'll just call it that. We can't change any of the settings, like it won't let us, there aren't any inputs. So we need to change it so that we can do that, or rather to allow us to do that. So it's really easy. you just right click and go convert to parameter, and then that's now accessible. And what's good here now is to put in a parameter name and put it in a group. So for me, 01 diffuse color. And when you go to group, there aren't any. So you just type one diffuse. Okay. So that's now, we're now able to, you know, slot something into that, and we can show you by opening the instance. I need to save it, apply it, and save it. And now you can see that we've got this slot available and it's in the right group. So just to demo this properly, all you do to access it is you just tick it on, and then we just drag and drop. First of all, we need to import our maps, which are here. So you can see these are our maps. And all we do is just drag and drop them onto it, and you can see how it's updated. And we can also see that our mass material is unaffected, which is, you know, pretty good. Now you can see that the placeholder stuff is still coming through because we haven't updated the other maps with the new maps, and it's just showing the placeholder ones still. So we just need to just go through and convert all of these to parameters. I'm going to go to normal and put this in to normal, and then last one is convert to parameter, and we put this in 3 arc rough metal, and again group it as well. Grouping is really, it doesn't look so important right now, but once you get going it's really, really handy. So we apply that and we save it, and now all of this is opened up to us. So again, you just tick stuff on, drag stuff in, drag stuff in, and now the normal and the roughness, etc., matches what we have with our corresponding images. And then what we can do now is, I want to just create some duplicates of these. Let's move them into the sky a little bit. Let's turn everything off. And now what we do is we drag this material onto it, and there we go. Now you could be like, well, that's all great, but I could just not set a material up and just make a material each time. Yeah, you could do it that way, but then you've got to re-plug in you've got to input your maps, your actual maps, into the material and then plug them all in again. Whereas now we can just go, oh, let's just make an instance of this. Done. Got a new one. Throw that onto our mesh. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now these are all, you know, there's nothing between them, it's the same material. So what we can do is we can put in some things to differentiate some stuff. Vector parameter is just like a color node, and we'll just leave that as white, which I will do here. There we go. And I'm going to use this to tint my diffuse. So all I need is a multiply node. So put this into A, this into B, plug the multiply node into the base color, and then it's already, you know, open to put stuff in. So we just need to go 01 diffuse tint. And then we just select which one it goes into from the group box now. And now we can test this by, if we change it, it updates in here, which is great. So we can do that to just tint the material slightly. And then in here we can do the same again just right click, vector parameter, and I want to call this 0 to normal strength, and we put this in the same group. And again, a multiply. I was just pressing M, holding down M and left clicking there. So then now, again, I want to set this to white. Okay, like so. And let's apply that and save it. If we go into our material instances, okay, so in here, we've got our mesh again, our material. Let's just try and get this so we can see everything. Okay. Okay, so because we've now got this tint, so let's tint it, and let's maybe tint this one red. And what's great about this is that it's not affecting the other instance that has the same properties. So we can make this, you know, let's make this a red rock. And then also maybe we want the strength of the normal to, you know, go up as well. So instead of using an arbitrary, I want it to increase by 0.2 on a slider, we can use colour to influence how much normal information comes out. So if we just get the light on it like this, you can see the normal information kind of changing depending on the colour we're inputting. So maybe this one's super jaggedy like that. And that's just, again, we can now use this setup on other things as well, and it will retain the same information. So, you know, quite quickly and easily you can create a master material and have it so that you know, everything set up in your scene uses just one material. Another good one is emissive color. So again, we can just get a vector, not a comment, vector parameter, and call this for emissive, and I'll put this in group for emissive, and bung this into, so before this actually, so that's emissive tint. I want a constant, and I want to change this, convert this to a parameter. So what you're doing is converting things to parameters, and I want this to be our emissive strength. So emissive strength. Put that in our emissive as well. And then again, we just multiply this onto this, this into emissive color, and the default is 0. And in here as well, we can put in a maximum. So maybe a maximum is, I don't know, in this case, make it 10. So it's off by default. And in here, we want this to be white by default. And apply that. So now if we come in, so things are compiling. Let's do an instance again. Let's drag this onto this one. Now in here, you know, let's just put all of this on again. But then this time let's put some emissive strength on this. So let's whack it up to, so 10's a little high. Maybe like that. And then maybe we want the tint of it to be blue. And there you go. Now we've got another coloured rock. And maybe we want the diffuse of this to be another colour. So let's make this light blue, something like that. So again, you know, you just by adding new stuff into just that one graph, you're making it so that other things are possible through it. And it's like, I couldn't believe, you know, it took me a while to set things up and kind of get the hang of things, but you can see how easy it is to set up and then just utilize. Yeah, and then I think what's really good about this workflow is that you can turn on and off things that you want to use and you don't want to use. So maybe we don't want to use normal information. Now just remember though that it's going to default back to whatever you used as a placeholder. So it might be, so in my case I have got in my normal map this wavy normal, and to be honest I use that just so that I could tell what was going on. You might want to stick to flats, so you know the normal flat colour, that purple colour, and maybe you know mid greys for your diffuse and for your occlusion, roughness, metal, that kind of thing, just because then you'll get a very default material. Whereas you can see here as I switch it on and off, it just resets back to that wavy placeholder one, so be wary of that. But yeah, it just means that you have more control and you can go, right, well I only want to use the normal and the roughness, so I'll just use them and I won't change the diffuse colour. It's kind of, yeah, it's I mean it's great, I'm not gonna lie, it's great being able to use this kind of thing.